So you may remember a few months back that I made a video discussing every known collector edition for the Saints Row series. One edition in particular I briefly discussed was for the Poland release of Saints Row 2. Very little information was known about the Polish version except for this single image. Supposedly it was only for the PC and included a bonus disc, a bullet-shaped USB, a map of Stillwater, and an exclusive art book and strategy guide. Since very few copies of this edition were sold, little to no extra information could be found online. However, thanks to the efforts of the community and one unexpected source, we now know everything about the Polish edition, and boy, let me tell you, I was not expecting to discover how off the walls this version truly is. But before we go off the rails, let's first compare this edition to what was advertised. A super special thanks goes to Discord user Mr. Mary for being able to obtain a copy of the Polish edition and even openly share screenshots and the bonus content included on the second disc. So right away you could see there were some minor alterations to the game's box and the case's jewel instead of digipack. Though the biggest difference is that it doesn't include the bullet USB. The included map is also pretty interesting since it's actually an earlier rendition of Stillwater. In fact, it's identical to the one Mike Watson gave the Flippy that displays cut activities like Human Torch and the Remove Yacht Crib. I have no idea why this version of the map was added to the Polish edition, but it's funny to note that the advertisement shows an entirely different poster of the city. There isn't much to say about the art book. It's identical to the one included with every version of Saints Row 2's Collector Edition except for being translated into Polish. With all that out of the way, let's dive into the real goods. When I first discussed the Polish edition, I theorized the bonus disc would consist of desktop wallpapers and possibly promotional material. It turns out that I was partially right, but that only scratches the tip of the iceberg. Before we continue, I need to mention that in the late 2000s, publishers in Poland were big on using local celebrities for their marketing. Hence, Poland had their very own mascot for Saints Row 2. In the United States and UK, we had the madman himself, Gary Busey, advertise the game with his iconic Uncle Gary street lessons. Poland, however, had their own uncle, Uncle Teddy. In case you need a little context, Teddy was a quite popular Polish rapper at the time, and I guess it was decided that he'd be the perfect face for Saints Row 2. He can be seen in countless images on the bonus disc where he's been imposed over multiple wallpapers. I have to admit some of these are quite hilarious, and this one, well, I simply have no clue. Ironically, the Uncle Gary trailers were also included on the disc, except Busey has a Polish voiceover.
Wiesz, że gdzieś jest wiocha z brakującym idiotą.
The disc even includes 2 songs Teddy made for the game. Here's a short segment of his song Bang Bang.
Chcę zrobić bang bang, bang bang, bang bang, bang bang, bang bang.
So as odd as Teddy being the face of the game is, you'll be surprised to learn just how absurd the exclusive strategy guide was. Again, thanks to Mr. Mary, I was able to get in contact with the writer of the strategy guide, Maciej Makawa, and he provided some pretty fascinating information. Basically, he was in charge of writing a handful of strategy guides for a local publisher. When it came to Saints Row 2 though, Maciej became sick of working on it and he added his own flair to the book. To quote what he said, the guidebook was useless trash. I was so tired of making it at some point, I just made fun of the Polish rap culture by making up some Uncle Teddy good advice sections in my criticism. Just a few people noticed that. Wow. I can honestly say I've never heard of something like that happening in the gaming industry, especially for a product that was officially released. Over 155 pages are filled with Uncle Teddy's advice. Taking a look at some of them, my favorites include, you must be able to self-reflect. For starters, you can start writing a diary. Everything you do leaves a mark, the way you write, speak, move, look, etc. Pay attention to each of these, try to closely analyze them to draw conclusions. Use this knowledge to work on yourself. Remember, everything is in your head and it all depends on you. During the next Christmas, try to watch at least one Audrey Hepburn movie. Yeah, it makes me wonder if Teddy himself ever read these. And that's the Polish Collector Edition of Saints Row 2. Not your typical Saints Row product to say the least, and that isn't easy to say for a series that has physical sex weapons and a one-of-a-kind $1 million collector edition. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Special thanks of course goes to Mr. Mary and Maciej Makawa for providing all the material. I would also like to give a special shout out to my Patreon sponsors. John, Jordan Flattery, Delta, Scissorp, KM, Sis121525, and In the Bayou. Like always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. He could be seen in countless images on the bonus disc. Bonus disc?
Don't get stuck on the fucking...
One...
Oh!
That was hilarious! on my screen.